ouch. Ouch. That whole scene with Holo breaking down, that hurt so much. Episode 4 of Spice and Wolf, what a fantastic episode. Just for that scene alone. Now, I will say, I think the whole scene with Holo really breaking down and showing that vulnerability that she has, that fear that she has of being alone, along with the later part where she's literally telling Lawrence to go, I think both of those kind of go together. It shows her fear of being alone, and then right there, it's her fear of not wanting, basically her putting herself before Lawrence because she'd rather go rather than have him go and then her be alone again. It's just everything around that stuff is just super emotional. Koshi Mizu, she nailed that scene so well. It's like we had 2 shows this week that have these massive breakdown points. We had Shoko Tensei literally yesterday for me, anyways, watching it. And then now we have this scene. Just 2 absolutely emotional and just heartbreaking performances in 1 week. We eating good right now. Anime fans, if you're watching those 2 shows, are eating really good right now. But yeah, fantastic, fantastic. Now, I will admit, I have a little criticism here. I didn't really like so much how they're explaining the whole Trini thing. And I think even with my previous episode impressions, I completely forgot that whole transaction when I watched the last adaptation and even read the novels like a long time ago. So I'm trying to figure out again and fresh. And I don't think the anime is explaining it well. I had to go back and read that section in the light novel just to kind of get a sense of what's actually happening here. But they could explain it better in the next episode, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, let's just dive into the episode. We start off things with, obviously, Lawrence going off to the Malone Trading Company to tell them what essentially he sees that Zeren, or whoever is backing Zeren, is doing. Because he's assuming at this point, Zeren isn't just doing this because he heard whispers. He's actually working under somebody. The light novel, and again, it could be explained here, and maybe I'm just missing it, and I'm just dumb. I'm actually pretty dumb. The light novel more explains the idea that Kraft Lawrence has, based on his experience, has seen cases where essentially because these companies don't want to draw too much attention to themselves, they will get merchants to do it for them. So his theory here is that Zeren has a trading company backing him, telling merchants to essentially go out and collect the silver. His assumption right now is that Zeren is part of a bigger plot to collect all of these Trini. And having them do that doesn't draw attention to themselves. It's a good way of collecting a ton of stuff without the attention of being on you, is have everybody else do it. So the idea here is that Zeren and everybody else will be collecting all the silver, and then those profits will then come to the big company. And if things don't work out well, the Zeren and all these other individuals will then sell what they've accumulated to that trading company to lower their losses. So, okay, it didn't work out. Well, buy this. Okay, we'll buy it at a low cost. So either way, it sort of worked for the bigger company, and they don't have, again, that attention drawn to themselves. So what Lawrence is basically doing here is going, okay, I'm going to go to Malone and tell them what's going on there. And then Malone at that point can make the decision to essentially do the same thing, collect all this money, and then at some point gain profits from them. The assumption at this point is that, yeah, it's a pretty good chance that the value of these silver is actually going to go up. It's declining right now. We've seen signs that it's declining, but because there's this action being taken, there's a sign that the value is going to go up. So if they can collect a bunch of that stuff, their value is going to go up with it, and they can sell it or whatever. So that's kind of what they're going with there, and he's presenting it to Malone, and thus Malone is going to get involved and sign a contract with Lawrence, and then Lawrence is going to get a part of that profit. So that's essentially the choice that happens there. So what Lawrence is basically doing is going, well, I can do this myself, but he's decided at this point, no, I'm going to get Malone involved. That way, they can move much more money at the same time than I can, and then I'll get a cut of it. So in the end, yeah, he's looking at possibly like 2,000 that he's going to make just from Malone, and he doesn't have to do anything. He just gives them the information. So yeah, that kind of opens the door to him essentially being able to do what pretty much every traveling merchant wants to do, is open his own shop. That's what we all desire to do in the end. And yeah, for the whole scene there, that's not something that Holo wants to hear. I mean, it seems like she's happy for him. Like, oh yeah, you're really excited. That looks really cool. Where are you going to do that? Yeah, it's my dream shop. I'm going to have a dream town, all this stuff. This is what we all desire. And at that point, yes, we get the, not really a reveal, but sort of solidifying the fact that Holo doesn't like this idea so much. Oh, well, what am I going to do? Oh, well, yeah, you're smart. You're the wise wolf. You have plenty of money from that transaction with the furs. You're going to be fine. You'll find your way up to the north. It's going to be fine. And then that's when she brings out the fact that, yes, she's afraid of being alone. She's always dealt with this loneliness, and now she's basically being told by Lawrence, I got my money, time for me to settle down, you're alone again. And that's, again, the way that it was portrayed is so great, because I think what makes it hit so hard is, yes, it's only been 3.5 episodes at that point, but that's enough time for us to get a sense of Holo's sort of personality. She's always clever, and she's always, pushing his buttons, and she's wise, and she's proud of herself, and she's always talking high and mighty, and then out of nowhere, she's hurting. And she's got that trembling in her voice. She's afraid of something. We're seeing what makes her tick. We're seeing what is driving her forward. What it's sort of implying here is that, yes, she keeps having this one dream where she wakes up and then suddenly everybody's gone. She names off a whole bunch of different people. There's all these people that were around me, and then when I woke up, they were gone. And I went out and searched for them, hoping that I can find them, and I never found them. I think what it's implying there is that maybe when she was up in the north, these individuals, probably wolves, these wolves were around her, and at some point she woke up and they were gone. And then she traveled down from the north, and that's probably when she came to this village. And then when she got to that village, this individual, what she mentions here, this individual that Kraft sort of reminds her of, that was that one human that didn't, react to her changing forms. It didn't seem to mind it. And at that point, yeah, they made that request, please look after the harvest. Bless the harvest. And that's when she stayed there. She was no longer alone, and she was this big part of this village. People kind of knew about her. She wasn't alone anymore. But then, yes, as we've seen with the early episodes, over time, people stopped believing in her. They still held the festival, but nobody believed in her. So that's the point where she decides to, okay, I'm going to go back up north. And that's when Lawrence came by. Now she has somebody that she's with again, and she's happy again. Again, it keeps hitting that idea that she was alone, now she has somebody. Alone, has somebody. And that's what it comes to that ultimate point. I am tired of waking up and being alone. I'm tired of being left behind. She's tired of being alone. And it's, and again, the way that she, and again, it's more of the aspect of it's showing that her voice just sounds like it's just in pain. He comes over there, unlike most male protagonists, actually embraces her. Thank you for actually having a male character that knows how to embrace somebody when they're hurting. It's so sad that whatever a show or an anime has a point where a male character is willing to embrace somebody that's hurting, it's so foreign that it's shocking that actually happens. He's willing to actually embrace her, hug her because she's hurting at that moment. But it was so good. It was so freaking fantastic. And again, the performance was just spot on, absolutely spot on. And then, yes, he goes over there and gets the paper that he's been drawing on and gives it to her to blow her nose on. Holo's got a very unbecoming of her. I like that she's how embarrassing. It's so embarrassing that I did all that stuff. And again, that plays into her pride. Oh gosh, I just show this really horrific side of myself. That's just so terrible. And then, yes, she sneaks into bed with him, which was great. Now, it's funny because the anime almost portrayed it as Lawrence himself was literally going to go in for a kiss. Not necessarily what was supposed to be happening there. It's more of the fact that he gets in there, he embraces her, she can't breathe, and he kind of lets her go. But then she goes in to whisper into his ear. It wasn't that he went in for a kiss. It almost looked like he went for a kiss. Which, hey, I was like, dang, Lawrence, go for it, boy. Whatever. But yes, that's when Holo reveals, oh yeah, that's right. I had that thing that I needed to tell you. Somebody's probably going to try to kill you. So they run off. They run off to try to get to the Malone Trading Company. And again, this is the other really great part. Well, of course, as they're running, it got Lawrence talking about all the things that he wants to buy for her. Totally flagging it. He's totally flagging things, saying all these things that he wants to buy for her. You're not supposed to say that kind of stuff. You're flagging yourself. But it's more of a thing that he wants to do good things for her. He's got all these things that he wants to get for her. He wants to get her a brush and everything. And she's like, oh, I want a brush for my tail. That's her pride and joy, is her tail. But, it gets to that point where, they need to distract everybody. And again, I think this is really telling right here as sort of an add-on to the previous conversation. Again, for Holo, she's tired of being left behind. She's tired of waking up and everybody's gone. And right here, there's a decision to make. Well, she says, basically, Lawrence, you need to get to the Malone Company and basically tell them that you're going to abandon them. You need to convince them to help you. And I think that she was spot on right there, because I think she knew that once Lawrence went to them, they were probably not going to help him. She knew, Lawrence, you can talk them into this. You can convince them to help you. I can't. And additionally, I think it's telling right here that based on that previous conversation, she doesn't want Lawrence to get captured. I'll get captured. That's fine. And I think it goes in that whole, he's literally like, you're going to get sold off to the church. They're going to give you to the church. They're going to kill you. You could die. And I like how she puts it in the fact that it's a repaying of a debt. And he's like, well, if you die, that's a debt I can't, that's too heavy. That's way too expensive. And then she says, loneliness is a disease that leads to death. It matches well enough. And the idea that you took away my loneliness, and that's basically loneliness is death. You paid that basically. That cost itself is equal. You've given me something, basically. But again, I think that kind of attaches to that conversation, the idea that she's more willing to have herself, something happen to herself, than Lawrence. You took away my loneliness, and then if you get caught right now, I'm going to be back in that loneliness again. So it's better that I go and something happens to me rather than something happen to you. And again, it hurts so freaking bad. We're already getting a sense right now. And it's interesting because it is a great way to have these characters get very close very quickly, is the aspect of pain. And the idea that it sort of like fast forwards the relationship. You're seeing the relationship between Holo and Lawrence kind of get sped up because there's that fear of loneliness, that they're being drawn together from that pain. And I like how earlier, technically, Lawrence sort of equates himself to her. As a traveling merchant, I have the same feelings, which was a great way to kind of slide into, because just before then he's talking about the shop and how every traveling merchant wants to have a shop because we want to settle down, we want to have friends, we want to have acquaintances, we want to have family. And as we're traveling around, we're always alone. And it's the same. Holo keeps waking up to being alone. Lawrence too. He goes to a town, does his deal, gets back on the road, wakes up, he's alone. Constantly happening for him too. So the two of them, through loneliness, are forming a really strong bond through that loneliness. They don't want to lose the other person. Despite the fact that Lawrence goes into this whole spiel about getting a shop and everything, and oh yeah, you can go on your own, when he realizes that, oh wait, she's lonely just like I've always been, he's relating to her, and that makes that connection. Like, I can't let her be alone. I need to get her to the north so she's never alone, like I'm always alone. So he's willing to put aside even his dreams and ambitions because he wants to make sure that she's not alone, because he sees himself in her. And again, like I said, it almost speeds up that process of their relationship just through pain and the wounds that they have that they can relate to each other with. So really good stuff. Really good stuff. Love it. Love it. I think both of those scenes were just so fantastic. But yeah, she runs off. He runs off. Gets to the Malone Company. I like how they kind of come to the gate and say, you hit this gate, you're literally striking at the pedestal of the Duke. You better get back off. But yes, he gets in there and talks to Rickton, who essentially says, yeah, she's been captured and we're not doing anything. And this is that really sad issue here, because it's like, I don't see Lawrence. I mean, he realized it very quickly, but it's like that oddity that, would you really expect this company to put everything aside to go get your companion? Like, they don't care. They made the deal. But it's one of those things where it seems very heartless at first, but then you really quickly realize that Rickton's right. This doesn't make sense, Lawrence. Yeah, you're just like me. I think if something happened to my wife, I'd probably be the same as you. But you got to calm down. You can't put that, you got to get your priorities straight. Why would they capture you? You're not thinking, Lawrence, chill. Why would they capture you? It's nothing to do with us. We've already made the deal. We're already collecting the silver. Just because you get caught doesn't mean we're going to stop collecting the silver. It's already been done. And they kind of point out the idea that they're ahead of them, because what they're assuming that the Medio company, whatever, the trading company behind Zeren is literally a smaller group, being backed probably by a noble, but they're going to be moving slower, and Malone Company is going to get ahead really quickly. So they're probably already ahead. What's the point? Think. Why did they capture her? It's not what you think it is. And so that's the really kind of interesting thing they have there, is that switch of crap. This trading company are jerks. Oh wait, that does make sense. This has nothing to do with it. And yes, that's when they get the letter about Holo. And I think that's probably more the fact that, unlike the deal itself, which is already done, I think they realize that, and he's trying to get Lawrence to kind of figure this out. Lawrence, why would they do this? What aren't you telling me? And that's when Lawrence finally realized, oh, I have Holo with me, and they may know that she's a wolf, and they may think that she's somehow tied in with the trading company, and then that's a great trade. So that's the thing that kind of comes from that whole letter. Okay, the letter basically says the church door is open. We got the wolf. Close your doors, or you're gonna lose that wolf. The wolf will stay outside. And I think what that's probably implying there is that maybe stop your trading, stop doing this deal, stop meddling with what we're doing, keep to yourself, and we won't get rid of this wolf. We won't take her to the church. I don't think it's necessarily it's maybe for Lawrence himself, but I think it's trying to tell that to maybe Lawrence and the Malone company. But we'll see. We'll see what the next episode, I would assume. And again, hopefully it explains the whole Trinity thing a little bit better. Like I said, I didn't really kind of understand that, and I had to check the light novel. It made a lot more sense there of the idea of buying up all the coin, using the merchants to do it for you so you don't get attention upon yourself, and then hoping that coin's going to go up. It's been dropping in value, so I guess the assumption or the tip-off is that it's going to actually go up in value, and they're trying to get these people to do it for them without the risk, because again, in the end of the day, they can end up buying up all they've collected at a lower cost. But why would the Malone company get involved if the assumption is that it could actually drop in value and keep dropping in value? The assumption there is that they do see that it's actually going to go up. So anyhow, we'll see what goes on with that, and again, hopefully they can explain a little better in the next episode. But yeah, that's my thoughts on episode 4 of Spice and Wolf. Again, very, very emotional, incredibly fantastic episode. Absolutely loved it. Looking forward to more. But hope you guys enjoyed my impressions of the episode itself. If you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what's thought of the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button's on my content. I need reviews, first impressions, top list if it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content and want to support the channel more, I have Patreon link, tips, links to the thanks membership button down below. Greatly appreciate it, but it does. Take care.